All right, Panther fans. Stu and I we've gotten over our misery with the exception of Stu's got the black hat on. And I just realized what we're talking about. And my hat's always black. So
yeah, I've never worn this on one video.
Yeah.
This is the only, I mean, I just pulled this out of my closet.
Right.
That's why it's all looks like all crunched and stuff.
Yeah.
It's my black hat of mourning.
The black hat of mourning. So
yeah.
All right. So what we're gonna do here today is we've got ideas. Shocking, right? So the purposes of this is just to kind of go over some of the ways that Stu and I mostly agree, but I'm sure there'll be something that we disagree upon. Some of the ways that we feel like the team can improve, things that need to happen during the offseason. And I've got at least one kind of out there crazy idea that I know will never happen, but I'd still like to see happen. So that's what we're going to do here. And let's just jump on the obvious ones first. And
do you want to mention the text I sent you last night about one of the YouTubers quoting Elliot Friedman about a possible Bobrovsky trade?
Sure. You
want to put that to bed? Because
yeah.
I basically answered the guy and I'm like, it ain't happening.
Bill Zito's not an idiot. Spencer Knight's not ready.
The guy was like, well, the Panthers would have to retain at least 50% or more of his salary. I mean, that's $5 million. That defeats the purpose. All right.
Yeah.
The guy is living in paradise. He's obviously got a baby. I don't think she's even 1 year old. The wife's probably thrilled,
Yeah.
laying by the pool, and he's making $10 million a year, and he's got a no trade. So I can let's just put that to bed right now.
Yeah.
If it happens, I will be totally shocked. I'll fall off my chair, and I'll
the only way
I just can't conceive it happening. Where's he going?
The only way it could even remotely possibly happen is if the other team was, number one, taking the salary, and number two, sending us back a goalie that, is what?
Where is he going? Arizona?
Right.
Where's he going?
Right.
That's the thing. He's got a no trade clause. So where's he going? You would think that he'd only want to go to a Stanley Cup contending team.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's it. We spent a minute on that. Let's move on.
Yeah. Let's move on. All right.
I just had to get that out of the way because when Elliot Friedman's name comes up,
right. Yeah.
I go like this. I'm like, what?
Yeah, but I just you'll never, just like the strip club thing. Show me the pictures. It's like if they were in that strip club, you don't think somebody would have, unless there's something about strip clubs that I don't know, like they make you check your phone at the door or something. I would assume that if they were really there, there'd be pictures. So, all right, back to our regularly scheduled video. So why don't we just start? We'll let you, we talked about a little bit what we were going to cover. Let's just let you, I'm just going to say the name, Mackenzie Weegar. Look at that smile.
Listen, this is not a hate on Weegar, but he did cost us a couple of games in the playoffs, crucial games. And so I won't be forgiving on that. The problem with Mackenzie Weegar right now is he and his agent are going to go for the big bucks that we can't afford.
Right.
Mackenzie Weegar to me is not more worth than 4.5. Let's stretch it, 5 million. I don't even want to think that he's even worth that.
Right.
Anybody that thinks he's like a star defenseman, you're kidding yourself. He's not. His stats were okay, but he was fourth in the league in giveaways, and that's an important stat.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to knock his play. I'm just going to focus on the money situation.
Right.
We're really strapped for cash.
Right.
So if that's the determining factor, I trade Weegar before anything has to happen. I get something in return for him. I don't know what that will be, but I leave it up to the magician to do his magic and get something good in return, whether it be a high pick or a prospect or somebody or whatever.
Right. Yep.
That's Mackenzie Weegar. That was quick, right?
Yeah. And
that's all that needs to be said.
Right. No,
unless you got something.
It's just basically that I agree. And I don't want us to do with him what we did with Vetrano, which is trade him during the season. It just if we know we're not going to sign him, do it now, because if the only way we're going to be able to have money for Sherrod is if we do that. So that's the
Correct.
first thing.
And
Now,
I think he was making $3.5 million this year.
yeah, well, it was we sent them a pick to split some of the money, so I'm not quite sure there with Sherrod. We sent Montreal a player, and they ate some of his salary, because remember all that happened.
No, I was talking about Uyghur, what his salary is. What we'd be gaining in cap space.
Somebody said his salary next year is 4.7, but I haven't checked that. That was just a comment I saw, so I'm not. You guys can let us know. Now, in terms of cap and all of that, I do not want to lose players to pay Claude Giroux. Not that I don't think he's a good player, but my brother really nailed it in a text to me after about a week. After a week, 4 or 5 games with Giroux, I said, look, give him time. He's got to get acclimated, et cetera, et cetera. And my brother just texted me back, it didn't take Bennett any time. And I thought, oh, that's a good point.
It took Reinhardt 22 games.
It did take Reinhardt 22 games. I don't really know where Giroux fits on the roster that we have, because we don't need another pass first guy. I mean, you put him with Huberdeau, Barkov, and Giroux, it's like, who's going to shoot on that line? And we saw that wherever he went, I wasn't happy with how he fit. And so to spend money on a guy that hasn't shown he really fits yet, and it's going to cost you one of the guys you already know, I just don't think.
Yeah, he's a luxury we'd like to have,
right,
but we don't have to have.
Right.
Let's just break it down like this. Okay. I'm talking about 4 players now.
Right.
Bobrovsky, 10 million.
Right.
Aaron Ekblad, 7.5, 8.
Gets close to
Barkov,
8.
10.
Right.
Huberdeau, 10.
Right.
Do the math.
Right.
That's half the cap.
Right.
And now you got to sign 18 other players.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay. We could go down the list of, the Duclair and the Verhaeghe and, whatever else. I think Verhaeghe's going to be making 4. Duclair's 3 something.
He's 4.
Forsling, right. And
right.
Montour. I mean, they're all in that range. But just those 4 players.
Right.
Bob, Barkov, Huberdeau, and Ekblad take up half our cap.
Pretty much.
Giroux's probably going to want at least $6 million.
And that's the thing.
I mean, I don't know what he was making this year. I'd love to have him too. I think he's better off being in his natural center position.
Right.
But we have Barkov. We have Bennett.
And
Lundell. We have Lundell.
Luosterainen.
We're not going to play him on
and
the
Reinhardt.
So again, my opinion, great player.
Right.
He's a luxury.
Right.
I don't think we're going to be able to re-sign him, because the emphasis should be on defense. And Sherrod, we have him.
Yes.
We need to lock that guy up.
Yeah. I absolutely, that Sherrod, because we gave up picks for both guys. You don't want to lose both guys. And Sherrod fit. He played well. You could see where if you could get him in the offseason and have definitely want Sherrod.
Him and Ekblad are a good match. Yeah. And if they get some more games under their belt, don't forget, he came in, at the end of the year, and Ekblad was out.
Right,
so he never really got to play with Ekblad until the playoffs.
Right. So, I mean,
what was that?
Yeah. Just
4 games against Tampa and 6 games against Capitals.
Right. And he didn't play with Ekblad, I think, until game 3 or 4 against the Capitals.
So here's what you got.
Right.
Sherrod and Ekblad, Forsling and Gudis.
Right.
Montour.
Right.
You got Carlson, Lindholm. Yeah. Those guys are not going to be asking $5-6 million.
No. They're going to be minimum.
So you got 1 or 2 of those guys.
Right.
Or Zito works out a trade. Uyghur, maybe somebody else. Who knows? Duclair. I don't think they're going to trade Duclair. I mean, I told you yesterday, 33 goals. You don't really want to trade that. We made a big mistake with Marchessault, remember?
Yeah.
And look what happened with that thing.
Right.
So I'm thinking that's where Zito needs to focus, because I mean, obviously the offense didn't produce in the playoffs, but we had no problem producing in the regular season.
Right.
The games were lost by our defense and our defensive mistakes.
Right.
So that's where we need to focus. I mean, again, Bob had a pretty good year. He had a good year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, a lot better than the first two.
Right.
And he proved himself worthy in the playoffs.
Yes.
I mean, I think we left him out to dry. There weren't too many goals that were scored where he could have had it.
No.
You know, the game winner, the fourth game was questionable, but it happens. You know,
you gotta score goals, right? You gotta go score. So, all right. So we've talked about that. Now this one might, in that vein, we'll stick with that just a little bit before I get to some of the other ideas I had. Can we, I think it's obviously Joe Thornton, great, nice, but do not spend another roster spot on him. And I think it's time to say goodbye to Achari. Great guy, but now he's going to be 32. He's been injured. You got to get a younger, hungrier, bigger guy in that role.
Ron Noel, maybe.
Well, every time I would mention that name, somebody on the stream would say he'd really been struggling. So
yeah, I mean, I love the guy when I saw him in development camp.
Yeah,
totally 100% agree with you.
Right.
Thornton would have been a great storybook, thing for PR purposes and media and, feel good, whatever.
Right.
I mean, it was only $1 million, but $1 million is $1 million.
Well, the thing of it is with our cap structure, and we've talked about this, that's why they kept giving Owen Tippett so many chances, because they know that with the caps, they're going to need a few of these kids to come up and develop and be good, young, cheap talent. And we just can't block them anymore. We've got to have a couple roster spots for one of Heponiemi, Senko,
That's right. We got Hepo and we got Datasenko, and they haven't been given a chance because there's no room.
Right.
Achari, again, totally agree with you. Let's get to Hornquist.
Oh, I hadn't even, I mean, to me.
Because I'll tell you where I'm at with Hornquist.
Go ahead.
I love Hornquist. Period. Ended. And I love him for this reason. Because obviously his production's gone down, but there's one thing that's an intangible. He's the real leader in the dressing room.
Right.
Okay? I don't see Barkov, Rara, Cisco, and Obama in these guys. I mean, Yandel was the guy last year and the year before.
Right.
It's Hornquist.
Yeah.
Hornquist has heart.
Right.
I really wish they had, kept him on the number one unit, the power play, and not messed around.
Right.
I mean, I just so angry about that. And it's like, you got a Rolex watch. It works great for 20 years. And all of a sudden you decide, let me just tinker with that.
Right.
You don't do that.
Right.
If the watch ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
So I put that on Bruno because, Hornquist is a present. He's a presence.
Yeah.
So who knows if, we'll keep him, but I think he still has at least a couple of years left, maybe 3. He's not that old.
No, he's not.
I think he said he was 32, right?
I think he's 34.
Okay.
But still, look, I mean, for the role he plays, I haven't seen drop off. So he's got the one more year on this contract. And really the only reason anybody's even talking about Hornquist is because it's 5.3, right? Honestly, I know in hockey, you can't just rip up the contract. So I get that, but we've talked about it. I'd like to get him on an extra year on, if he's willing to, somebody's got to be the leader. And that's the thing, right? So it's like, if you're going to, what I really don't want to see, what really concerns me is we get to the trade deadline next year and they start and somebody wants Hornquist. I want him to get another year, just add a year at a cheaper price so that he's not on an expiring contract. Obviously, we'd both love to see him get to C, but the only way that's happening is if we get a new coach, which I'll just lead that right into the one thing that was number one on my list. the owners, if they've made mistakes, but the one thing they've always made mistakes thinking that they were just trying to win. With the exception of maybe Gallant, but that's a different story. I don't know what the hell they were thinking there. But since then, we'll put it this way, since that debacle, they've really done everything they can to try to win. After Bugner, they really realized that we need a veteran coach for this team to get over the hump. Now, Brunette, I watched his post-game interviews and everything, and he says all the right things. Obviously, you could tell they're shell-shocked. He's going to be a good coach somewhere. Do I think do I see anything in Brunette that tells me Stanley Cup winner? No. And the reason why
I would have been, I'm sorry, didn't interrupt. I would have been a little bit more angrier.
Right.
I would have been like, I can't believe it, or no, I wouldn't say that. This is not the Panther team that played in the regular season.
Right. Right.
We didn't show up.
Right.
We had guys on our roster that didn't show up. He didn't have the balls to come out and say that.
Right. Well,
it's got to be nice. It's got to be nicey nice,
Right.
But that's the bottom line. And you know what? I also take responsibility with my decisions.
Well, he did that somewhat when you talk about the power play. It was interesting. He kind of compartmentalized it that way. But look, his main job when Q resigned was to steady the ship and to not change anything. And that's the opposite of what a new coach. When a new coach comes in, it's usually you have to change everything. This was the opposite. So he did.
Yeah, but it worked. It worked during the regular season.
Right. But the problem
is making the adjustments. Listen, you had an opportunity to make the changes when we had the couple of losses with the Capitals.
Right.
I mean, what were the four of them, meaning the coaching staff, what were they doing?
Right.
How many times do you hear about like football coaches that don't have a life because they're in the video room 24 hours a day?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's NHL coaches that do the same thing.
Right.
So where were those guys, and where was Brunette after seeing how we lost? Well, let's just focus on the first two games of Tampa.
Right.
And not making adjustments. And I go back to that Mike Rupper thing I was telling everybody about. And I don't know if you all went on Twitter and searched Mike Rupp and saw his analysis of 2 goals. It's one video. You have it. I sent it to you. Yeah. I don't know if you could post a link on our video here.
I'd have to find it because you sent it to my phone.
I'll find it and send it to you again. Yeah. But it's just a simple analysis of 2 goals where we were at a position.
Right.
And got burned. Now, if you're the coach, you're supposed to be watching the whole game footage, the offensive stuff and the defensive stuff.
Right.
Because if you had been watching the offensive stuff, especially on the power play, you would see how predictable we are.
Yeah.
And how the opposing team already knows what we're going to do with it before we do it, because we've done it 1,000 times.
Right.
And that's where he makes adjustments.
Right.
And he was the power play coach.
Yeah.
Under Quenneville.
Right.
So, Brunette.
Look, to me, I mean, I know, look, there's a few things out there. First, there's the whole rumors about Q might even come back.
I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening because
it's a touchy subject.
Yeah, wherever he goes is going to be. I think the only way he comes back is a low profile team. Maybe I don't know how that's going to work, but I don't see these owners saying, "Okay, come on." I don't think that's going to happen. So that's
not after a year.
Exactly. Not after. No,
it's too fresh.
It would be like rubbing it in the face.
Yeah, it's bad PR for the league. Okay.
Right. So Trotz. And that's the thing with Zito. It's like, because they're talking about they're going through the process, et cetera, and I'm hearing all this stuff with Trotz. If let's just hope they decide soon enough, because if they decide, go ahead.
Yeah, Zito said they're gonna take some time
Right,
to decompress and to
Right.
get away from the emotion
right,
and analyze things
Right,
and
right,
just research things and what. Doesn't sound like they're making a move tomorrow.
right, right, right.
By the time they decide to make a move, Trotz will be signed by somebody else.
Unless Zito makes a phone call to Trotz and says, "Can you give me a week?" I mean, it could happen. We don't, I mean,
I don't know. I'm shocked that Lamoriello let Trotz go.
yeah, that was
Obviously, the Islanders, didn't really
Right.
do anything, but I'm just shocked that you
look.
let
They
a coach.
played well the second half of the season.
I just don't understand that. But,
No.
it's like the Capitals. How could the Capitals let him go? He
Right,
just won the Stanley Cup and they didn't want to pay him a few extra
Yeah.
bucks.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
when we lost Luongo.
Right,
It was
Right.
a clash of egos between Luongo's agent and Keenan. And I
right,
think it was just a difference of $500,000. And Keenan didn't want to budge and give Luongo what he wanted.
right.
Now, again, this is from my knowledge
Yeah,
going back
yeah.
years. Might not have it 100% factual,
Right.
but that's pretty much the story.
All right. So let's talk about. I want to bring up something.
You want to bring up other candidates, or you want to just leave it at that?
Yeah, let's just leave
and
it at that.
address it later on. Maybe
Yeah,
we could
yeah.
maybe we
So-
could do a whole video on that later.
Yeah. So Bruno said something about Lundell in his postseason interview. And this is actually kind of what got me blocked by Ekblad. And so I want these guys in the gym. He had said Lundell's going to go in there and get stronger. I had a list here, and this is not a knock on some of these guys, but obviously Lundell.
Yep.
Barkov, because dude, get working on your core and your thighs, because you get bumped off the puck too easily.
Yep.
Mammon, not because I don't think he's already strong, but I'd love to see that guy after like a summer of dedicated, because he's a monster already.
Yep.
And the other two guys I had were Marchment
and Luosterainen.
And Luosterainen, because Luosterainen's kind of thin. Luosterainen's the same height as Barkov, but 25 pounds less. So he could put some weight on that frame. And with Marchment, again, it's not that he's kind of thinnish. He's just takes such a beating. I think he needs to add some muscle so he's not knocked off his skates so often.
Listen, I forgot. I'm sorry, guys. I'm usually pretty good with remembering names, but who's the kid that was great in college that we ended up trading in Chicago for?
Oh,
he was supposed to be, the next big thing.
Yeah,
I forgot also.
I forgot also.
You guys know who I'm talking about. But he was 170-pound skinny malink.
Oh, you're talking about Borgstrom.
Borgstrom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he was
right.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
I weighed more than him.
Now, one guy you didn't put on the list was Jonathan Huberdeau. And
it's interesting.
The story with Huberdeau is he was a skinny malink when he came out of juniors.
Right.
And if you see him now, that kid is ripped. That kid spent the time in the gym.
Right.
Because he posted videos on his Instagram and I used to watch him.
Yeah.
With his summer workouts.
Oh, that's what I was thinking, because when he hurt the Achilles, he had to go do that. And since then, he's a completely different player. So exactly.
Completely different player.
Right.
Absolutely. He's been a beast since he's back.
Except for the 4 games against Tampa.
I mean, again, it's just shocking to me.
I know.
Shocking to me that a guy finishes in the top 3 in scoring.
But then
he produces 1 assist. I mean, how?
Look.
No goals?
It's shocking until you watch what Nathan McKinnon did last night. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Who on this team? Who's doing that?
There's a leader. There's a captain.
Barkov would have.
I know Landeskog's the captain officially, but everything, just like with Tampa, everything goes through Kucherov.
Right.
In Colorado, everything goes through McKinnon. That last goal, and you're right. The only Panther that comes to mind that did that was Matheson.
Yeah,
Matheson never scored.
No, but he'd be the one that's crazy enough to just take it the whole way.
Looked good. He just looked good going down and going around everybody. But I think he scored one time.
One time he did do that, but yeah.
McKinnon hat trick last night. What a beast! And they still lost.
I know. I mean, that
was great.
It was.
I want St. Louis to take Colorado to 7 games.
Yeah.
So Colorado doesn't think we're the shit.
Yeah. Right. So all right. So we agree there. And then the other normal thing that I had before I get to my crazier one is and you've kind of touched on it here, is film study. I want these guys, I want them sent home with homework. And what I want the coaches to do for all of these players is I want them to send them home with like 10 hours of their isolation film from the regular season and the playoffs. But I want the coaches to edit in anything, words, sentences, phrases, numbers, so that these kids have to watch the film and pass the test asking questions on whatever the hell the coaches edited in, so the coaches know they had to watch the whole thing to get those answers right.
I like that idea. I like that idea.
Yeah, these kids that hate me as coach.
And I don't think they're going to do it.
No, they ain't going to do that. They ain't going to do that.
But that should have been done during the playoffs.
Right.
Again, after game 2.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
and the other thing, like we talked about, I want them to watch film of the Toronto Tampa Bay series, because I mean, I get that Kucherov was kind of dinged up in that series because he was hurt or sick, but these guys gotta, and I actually want to do it myself too. Is I want to go watch what the hell went on that Toronto took them to 7 games and were scoring goals versus can't just all be Vasilevsky. It just can't be. So
no, absolutely not.
Right.
What I think they should do is make a 5-minute video, maybe not even 5 minutes. Let's just say 3-minute video of Tampa's power play, the Hurricanes power play, Edmonton's power play. You know, those top teams, even though we were number 5,
right?
Obviously didn't look it in the playoffs.
Right.
But they should have a video and just have the power play units in the room. Like, this is how you're moving around.
Right. Yeah.
Tampa's got the best when Braden Point's in the middle of that, 5 of spades that I always call it.
Yeah.
And they feed him. That's, that's one of the options.
Right.
Not only for getting a shot off, but a possible tip from the point.
Right.
I mean, the bottom line is you got to shoot to score. And that's one thing that drives me nuts. I have no hair to pull out, but if I did, it would be all gone, because that's where we fail.
Yeah.
That's where we failed. 2 things: not getting set up and moving the puck fast enough to throw the defense off, and not shooting.
Right.
Giving a chance to get a rebound or a chance, shooting low.
Yeah.
Always got to stop it with his pads instead of shooting it in his chest and he covers it.
Right.
So either a rebound or a deflection, or maybe a deflection off the defenseman. Every power play should have at least 5 shots.
Right. And
they were sorry, one more.
No,
they were a little late. They were a little late. They made the adjustment with putting Ekblad in that, in that circle for the one-timer, but
but it was
even in
Barkov
that game,
wasn't feeding him.
Yeah, they didn't feed him.
Right.
And that's just like
yeah.
Okay.
So let's talk about some of these individual players, because I caught one yesterday that even surprised me, because it was Zito in his interview said that the guys that are on expiring contracts, they're going to get with them this summer like they did with Barkov. Now, we know Huberdeau, we know Uyghur, we know Marchment, we know Mammon, but the one that I didn't realize that made me kind of is Gudis. Nobody's been thinking about that, and he's on an expiring contract. He's 31, and like you said, he's a tough MFer, and we definitely need him on this team. The hope would be he'll just extend at the same amount of money. But in that whole collection is that what it sounds like Zito is saying is that they're going to do like they did, I think it was for Hagee, where they added. So Huberto would still have his cap hit for this season, and then the next contract would already be signed for the following years. So he said in his, I don't know if you watched the Zito one, but he said, because they asked him about it, and he said, who knows? Maybe one guy says, I'm willing to stay for this. And we thought, oh, wow, we had so much budgeted and now you're willing to stay. So you could see, I was thinking he's talking to Giroux, and I'm hoping that's who he's talking to, because Uyghur, don't get either one of us started there. It's not, Uyghur's not going to stay on the cheap. And I think we know that. And really, he shouldn't. Look, if his agent can go get him 8 million, 7-8 million somewhere else, this is his paycheck. He's 26.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to get it now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So nothing there. Go get it. Get paid.
Again, Eric, it's not like we've been hating on Uyghur.
Right.
It's just his play was bad. Yeah. But as far as getting rid of him now, it's strictly business.
Right.
It's not personal. It's business.
Right.
Because we don't have the money to sign anybody. In regards to your comments about Gudis, yeah, he's the Gabranson that we would have loved to have kept.
Yeah.
Gudis gives us that one player that other players are afraid of.
Right.
They know if they mess with Barkov, Gudis is coming after him.
What interesting, I was looking at it. You realize you wouldn't think this, but you realize Aaron Ekblad is 4 inches taller than Gudis. I couldn't believe it. Ekblad's 6'4", Gudis is 6 foot even. And so it's interesting how we view players as he's big, strong, and Ekblad's way bigger than Gudis. It's or at least taller. So
by the way, I'm curious. Maybe someone could, we could look up Cap Friendly later. I think Ekblad's in the 4th year.
Yeah, he's not signed forever.
Of that new contract that was signed with Talon.
Right. No, I think
it was an 8-year deal. I think he's 4 years into it.
Right. Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice. It'd be nice, I would make it a priority to keep him. Again,
right.
Sherratt, Ekblad, Forsling, Gudis. We've already have Montour signed.
Right.
So we need to find that hole filled. And then we got pretty much the same defense we've had.
Right.
That just needs to play better.
Yeah.
Forsling, my boy, what happened to you?
Right.
You did not look good. No. I gotta be honest. You look shitty.
Yeah.
And it was just like totally unexpected. And I'm talking defensively, not offensively.
And though you have to wonder, and I'm not saying this as an excuse, but you do have to wonder, especially like we've seen Uyghur, when he tries to do too much, that's when he makes mistakes, right? Well, these guys are used to playing with 4 and 5 and 6 goals a night. And you have to start to wonder you get to the second period of the elimination game, we still haven't scored. On the defenders, they're going to start feeling that pressure,
Good point.
So it's like we said when it happened, it's everything. It's all of it, and it's everything. And I trust Zito, and that's the biggest difference. Not just where we are as a team with the players and everything, but we in the years past, it would be like, who the hell knows what Talon is going to do, man? Who knows what Talon is going to do?
Who knows what would have been if we had Zito 2 years before he actually came on board? Because I think Talon was just stale,
right,
and just beyond his usefulness.
Right.
I have 110% trust in Bill Zito to do the right, and his staff, because they're the ones that got to figure out the numbers.
Right.
I think what we should do, Eric, is have a follow-up video somewhere, maybe towards the trade deadline or whatever the re-signing period is.
Right.
I don't know,
you mean free agents?
And just focus on that.
Yeah.
But as far as, finishing up and breaking down this season, I mean, there's nothing else to say other than the offense disappeared.
Right. And
the offense had produced, what they produced in the regular season.
Right.
Even with the defensive mistakes, we win the series.
Oh yeah, we will. Yeah, sure.
So that's it in a nutshell.
Right.
You can blame it on Brunette.
Right.
You can blame it on the power play. What not? I mean, the power plays.
It's just
You can
all of
blame
it.
it on that.
Right.
I'm just saying you can blame it on the coach, but it's the
Yeah.
players that have to play.
Right.
And
So-
they didn't. I mean, Anthony Duclair gets scratched the last 2 games. What does
Right.
that tell you?
Right.
Your top, I think the second guy on maybe,
Second. Yeah. I think it was
let's just say
second.
the
Yeah.
top 3 goal scorer on the
Right.
team gets benched. What
Right.
does that tell you?
Right.
Where did he go?
So
Where
I have
did he go?
I have a solution for it all.
Barkov, 38 goals or whatever. Where did he go?
I know.
That's why we lost the series, boys
Right.
and girls. 322 regular season goals, a new record. I mean, I think we're the 6th highest goal producing team in history.
Yeah. History. Yeah.
We disappeared.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we could have absorbed some of the defensive mistakes
Oh,
that
yeah.
we made.
Well, we did all year. Those
That's
were
that's
those were
my
not
point.
new. Yeah.
What did I always say? The magic number was
Right.
4 goals for Bob.
Those mistakes
We
were
had
not
4
new.
goals for him. I don't know if we lost any games.
Right. No, I don't know. But I have a solution. I have a solution for it all. And this is the last thing on my list. And this is when I made the list, I wanted to make one thing where I know it's never going to happen, but I'd love to see it. So if you guys watch my recaps, I've got the Panther flag and I've got Kermit, and then I've got Larry Zonka, Don Shula, and Mercury Morris. And I grew up before they moved the practice facility and all of that. And Don Shula for training camp, I forget how many weeks it used to be, but basically the guys were sequestered. They had these crappy little dorms somewhere, and they had a curfew and they weren't allowed to do shit. It was 2-a-day practices.
Yeah, but that was in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, I said it's never going to happen.
Times have changed since then. Don't forget there was no Twitter and
right,
right. Cell
That's what I
phones
mean.
and,
I want these guys sequestered in crappy apartments with no Wi-Fi for the last 2 weeks before the season starts, where they can't do anything but watch film. I want the little black and white TVs in their rooms with the VCRs, and they have to watch the fucking games on tape. So they have to focus because it's so grainy they can barely see the puck. So they have to sit around a little 13-inch TV and have to focus that hard. And I just want them to watch their playoff series. That's it.
A lot of coaches did that in years past.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that coaches sequestered their teams.
Yeah.
In a hotel.
Yeah.
To make it more like the road experience.
Right.
I'm talking about at home now.
Right. So of course, I know it'll never happen, but maybe I should just make a "if I was the coach" video because something, and that's the last thing I'll say is that, and this is kind of what I started the end of the recap off with, and I'll end it here. It's like the biggest reason why I want Brunette to go and fresh blood to come in is because these are the guys. These are the players. I mean, you might make a tweak here, a tweak there, but these are the guys. So they have to do it or it's never going to happen. And we can all sit here and say, well, we know Barkov's never going to do what McKinnon did last night. Oh, okay. All right. But Colorado did lose the game too. So it's not a guarantee. And St. Louis is doing it with Husso, and he's not even Binnington. You know what I mean? So it can be done, but it's a mindset, it's a mentality that the whole group of players have to have. Now, so it gives us 2 options. We can hope that Brunette figures it out, or we can go get somebody that we already know has figured it out before. I vote get somebody that already knows how to do it. The owners voted that when they brought in Q. This wasn't like Q got fired and it was performance or something. This was never intended to be on Andrew Brunette's shoulders. So I believe in the end they're going to look at this and they're going to make the same decision that they already made. You know what I mean?
It just depends on who they bring in if they make the change.
Right.
And who will be the best fit with this group of players.
Oh, Trotz. I'm telling you, Trotz.
That's why Quenneville was perfect.
Right. Oh, yeah. And Q was right. But for what we see out there now, Trotz, I know people have talked about Tortorella and gone back and forth. I think he might be too much. I think he might be too much for these guys. I think Trotz can kind of, you know what I mean? He just looks intimidating, but
he's not bombastic like
right.
Tortorella
But exactly, he has the look and he has the gruff, but he's not going to say stupid shit that's going to piss these kids off. That my opinion, anyway. So, but at the same point, I'll put it to you this way: if we're done with this video and we go in there and they say Brunette's fired and Trotz is or Tortorella was the coach, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad. I would be like, oh, okay, let's hope this is the right move. But it wouldn't be like they traded Gabranson for what? It wouldn't be like that, you know.
Yep.
So, you got any last words?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing the Connor McDavid show tonight.
Yeah.
I want Calgary to win, but I think it's the McDavid show.
But that's what I said about Colorado last night. I said, at the beginning of the recap, I'm like, I don't think they're done. Colorado's going to win this game. And I mean, it was 3-0 at home and they blew it. So, and what I said on Twitter, you'll appreciate this. I want Colorado to blow this now, because if Colorado blows this series, they ain't nobody going to be talking about the sweep on the Panthers anymore. The rest of the year, it'll all be Colorado.
True.
So
listen, McDavid also has a reborn Evander Kane, who's got 5 goals in his last 2 games. So, you know, they're playing in Calgary,
right?
And it's going to be rocking there.
Yep.
But I have a feeling,
right?
That, you know, again, great players rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
I have a feeling McDavid's going to go apeshit tonight.
All right.
Let's see if I'm wrong, but
we'll see. Well, I already did my hat trick last night.
That was great.
I can't believe 6 for those of you who don't know what happened last night. At the end of when his overtime started, I had to throw the hat for Nathan McKinnon. And I've been trying for 6 years. Every hat trick, I take this hat and I throw it at the camera and I try to get it to hang off the flash, because the flash is like this big. And if it hangs off the flash, it'll block the camera. I've never done it. And right before I threw the hat, I'm like, watch. Wouldn't it be something if I finally did this on the non-Panther video? And son of a bitch, if I
wish we had the reverse angle.
Oh man, I know, right? I couldn't believe it. I made a clip of it and put it on Twitter for anybody who wants to see it. So, all right, guys, we appreciate all the support. I know I'll be back tonight with the recap of the Canes and Rangers. I don't know about the late game. I know, are we going to review both games tomorrow morning?
It depends if I'm up.
It depends on if Stu watches the game. Yeah.
It depends obviously, on where I'm going as far. We didn't talk about the Rangers, but obviously I'd like to see the Rangers.
Yeah.
Take it and finish it off at the
well, look, somebody's got to win a road game. I mean, they're going to have to win a road game. So we'll see that play Carolina. It's going to be, I don't
6-0 at home, 0-5 on the road. So let's see if the Rangers can break that.
Are there any louder buildings than Carolina and New York? I mean, and I don't mean that Tampa's pretty loud, because they got them freaking little noisemakers. I hate those things. I hate those freaking things. Man.
Anyway, listen, comments, guys.
Yep.
We definitely always like to read comments and get your take on things.
Yep.
Definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Got to get Eric to 3,000.
Yeah, we're moving.
I'm on Twitter at Stu and Boca.
Yep,
I'm getting close to 1,000, so be nice if you gave me a follow, and that's it.
Yep. All right. Oh, and I guess I should mention, I've started back up being active on the Instagram as well, and that's Real Flying Fluffy, because somebody else took Flying Fluffy, those sons of bitches. So I'm the Real Flying Fluffy.
But about Instagram. Flying Fluffy hockey?
Well, it's too late now. I guess I could change it. It's a good point. All right. Yeah. Well, for right now, it's Real Flying Fluffy. All right, guys. Thanks all.
See you later.
We'll see you.